Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
A show I could not wait to do. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed your weekend, enjoyed the Mosconi Cup, depending on which side you're on. Milo Bell says, "Let's go." I'm pumped for this show. It's going to be a good one. I've been getting a lot of messages. Hey, when are you going to do the recap show? When are you going to do the recap show? So, fear not. I was just Sunday. I was at a wedding, and not Sunday, Saturday. I was at a wedding. My boy Franco got married. Him and his beautiful wife Kalea. So congratulations to them. And some things are just more important than pool. And so I got to spend some time with them, some family as well. Really great friends. It was just a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Not to be if you were an American fan though. 11-3 showing, but we're going to jump on into the action. I got a couple of Hall of Famers on deck for you guys. One of them here, Panozo, via the Bears game.
I'm always uncomfortable when you introduce a couple Hall of Famers, and one of them can actually play pool.
Yeah, well, the criteria for getting in the Hall of Fame has it's yeah. And then this gentleman right here needs no introduction. Multiple time Hall of Fame. Yeah. How are you, Darren?
Yep, not too bad, thank you. What about you boys?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Yeah, it's I don't know how to take this past weekend of sport. Actually, outside of pool, sports weekend was great. Football was great. College football was great. It was a little chaotic, but when it came to pool, it was kind of like, all right, just get it on over with. And sure enough, by a few hours, it was it was all over with. So how you doing, Mike?
Good. I'm hoping that I don't cut off as much as I do usually, because people get really offended by that apparently.
No, I mean, listen, we're gonna get that sorted out. But to start off the show, boys, I just want to get your first reaction in the overall and the grand scheme of things before we dive into like some players and player captains and lots of different aspects to go and talk about. But Darren, give me your thoughts on the overall on the Mosconi Cup and where you at today, a few days after it's over with.
Yeah, obviously from America point of view, the final day was a bit of a damper. Could have won the first point. Was it the first point doubles with Skyler?
I think they were up 2-0, weren't they?
Yeah, and he's missed that 9 ball, and then it just all went pear-shaped, really. And then it just, as soon as they lost that first point, the wind was taken out of them, and it was just a matter of time then. And Europe wrapped it up pretty quickly. So it was, so 11-3. It looks like a drubbing, don't it? But it could have easily been 6-5 going into that final day.
Sure.
So it's a big disappointment, really. I mean, from the European perspective, I think there definitely was the better team of the two. I know a lot of American fans were saying, but it could be 6-5 to America. But I feel like America made a lot more mistakes besides those 9 balls they missed. I think Europe played pretty solid, especially Joshua Filler. I think he played unbelievable. Moritz played really good for a rookie. They all played good, really. I think, if anything, David might have missed a few more balls than the rest of the guys, but he still played his part. So it was a real good team performance from Europe, a very professional job. But yeah, from a neutral, if you're a neutral looking in, then you'd be disappointed, really, from America's point of view. I just feel like there was never really a team. They had little patches where they thought, they looked more together, and then there was parts where they looked really disconnected. And it looked like they were missing something besides just playing, but also it looks like they needed some help on the sidelines. And so from that point of view, it was disappointing. And 11-3, so it doesn't sound good, does it? I mean, definitely need to make changes in the future.
What do you say, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing we talked about the other day. They just have problems, sealing the deal. I mean, a lot of these matches could have been 6-5. Yeah, it could have been 6-5 if you make the 9 ball. But they're really great players make the 9 ball, and if it's you didn't get good shape because you were nervous or you were a little tight on the back, whatever, you're going to miss those shots. So the better team didn't miss those shots, and the lesser team did. So, it was a shame. It was too bad watching that happen over and over and over. That was the most discouraging thing.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing with the Europeans that you don't get swallowed up by even like when David in his doubles scratches on an 8 ball or misses a ball on the side, it's like you always feel like they're going to be able to respond, and he's going to just leave it there. Whereas with the Americans, it just seemed like, okay, here we go again. Like you're almost anticipating the miss or just getting bad on the ball especially towards the tail end when the pressure really started ratcheting up. I mean, it fell on a couple of guys' shoulders more than others in terms of missing key crucial shots. And that part of it, as like a human, you just don't want to see, right? You don't want to see a guy just consistently just continuing to slip every time. And there were like some positives there throughout. But when it really mattered the most, I mean, Team USA just you can't leave that much on the table, not when you have guys like that. But I'm with you, Darren, in terms of Moritz. Thought he played phenomenal. Josh was just an absolute. It was great to see Josh back. That's the stage he belongs in. He thrives in that environment. And especially after the bullshit the last couple of years, that's the guy that I was really excited to see more than anybody. But look, when you start watching pool as a fan, you love the Mosconi Cup, and as a fan, and we were talking about sports before we went live on the air. It's like you want to have, even if you're a fan of a bad team, right? You just want to have hope. Like every year going into it, you just want hope. It doesn't feel like there was much hope anymore for the Americans, and it seemed like it was like that last year, and then after a few games into it this year. So it seems like they gotta turn the ship around. And I saw in a post yesterday when I was traveling, Johan and there's a lot of guys campaigning to be captains, but Johan with the resume said, he's able and willing. And Emily commented on there, if we can agree on a number, pretty much, let's have a conversation. And Darren, I want to get your take on what you think he'll add to the Americans and if he can realistically go and turn it around.
Yeah, I think it's essential, really. I mean, I don't know why he stopped in the first place. Maybe Mike knows. But yeah, I mean, he's just massive for the team. He's going to bring discipline. That's number one. He's going to bring structure to the team. He's going to make sure that they're ready throughout the year. He'll have 3 or 4 guys what he knows is going to be in the team very early. So he'll be working with those guys all season.
Right.
They'll be having get-togethers, like maybe 2 or 3 times a year where they're training, all that stuff, making sure that they're all on the same page. They'll be doing a lot of structure, a lot of planning, playing a lot of doubles, all that stuff, making sure they're doing all the right things off the table, and then make sure that they're together at least 1 week before the cup, and make sure they prepare properly and they do all the right things. They'll act as a team. They'll be together as a team 24/7, not just like show up before the matches. Like, for example, at the Alexandra Palace, I was in a restaurant. I think it was on day 3. I was in the restaurant, and it was the matches start at 6:30.
Yeah. Because it was 12:30
and it was
Central. Yeah,
it was like 4:30 p.m. I was having dinner with some friends, and one of the American players were in the restaurant. I'm not going to name who it was, and he was there with his friends and family, and I'm thinking, like, why is he still here? I mean, he should be with his team. You're playing in 2 hours. So stuff like that, I'm thinking, like, well, that's a bit strange, because I'm thinking if this was the European team, that would never happen. And if it was especially Johan, I mean, you'd be getting knocked on the door, because you're basically there to try and win the Mosconi Cup. You're getting paid pretty good money. You should be with a team, really, like, soon as you open your eyes until the final ball goes in on an evening, you should be together all the time. I understand if it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you want like a little break from the team, that's okay. But 2 hours before the team is about to start, I'm thinking, well, he has to go back to wherever he's staying, get changed. Where's he going to meet up with the team? I would imagine. I thought like when I played, we'd be at the venue at least 2 hours before the before the day starts, because you've got a lot of media to do. Obviously, you've got to practice everything else. So yeah, I mean, all that discipline and structure is the key with Johan, and he'll make sure that they're all in line and get them all together, all on one page, and that's what it's about.
Mike, you know how that relationship kind of started and how it soured over the years. Do you think that, one, it'll be a good fit if he was able to go make a deal with them, and two, do you think he can go and turn it around?
Well, I mean, yes and yes and yes. I mean, he can turn it around. I mean, he's that constant for the years that they won, and players would welcome him back. It was there was a year where he got kind of carte blanche with everything. The year 18 when they won in London. But then after that, I think things soured. It got a little bit tough to work with him in terms of demands and requests and what he wanted to do. And I really thought that bridge was burned. I thought that was done. So I was really surprised when Emily commented, if you don't ask for the moon, we'll talk. Yeah. There's still a long way to see if it'll actually work out. There would be a lot of details that would have to really be ironed out for this to happen. But obviously Emily would like to see this happen because she's starting to see that it's kind of dire at this point.
Like desperate.
Yeah. So not that, but I mean, she really wants to see them back. And if this is, I prefer this much more to all of a sudden opening it to Canadians and South Americans and anybody with a passport, who's changed sides. I'm rooting for Torsten next year because he's a legitimate American citizen now and worked at it, and he's not doing this just to get on Mosconi Cup. So I'm all thinking of Jesus or John Moore or anybody from the Americas. I didn't like that idea. I think that's really desperation. I think that they should see if they can still get it fixed first, and then from there. And Johan is the best chance. I mean, I think we've all thought Daz would be a perfect captain. I actually thought I saw Dennis Hatch's post on his throwing his hat in the ring, and his description of what he would do was pretty interesting and pretty solid and made sense. But if I'm going to start someplace, I'm going to start with Johan.
Darren, is that something that you'd even have interest in?
What, me being the USA captain?
Well, yeah, because I mean, you've worn the blue and yellow for so long, and and it's not just you ripped the hearts out of American fans for many years. So, I mean, but is that something that at this point of your career you would even entertain?
It's difficult to really comment. Really, I've never really massively thought about it until Mike brought it up. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a job, isn't it? It's different to playing. Sure. So I would definitely consider it, but obviously. My first choice would be to be the European captain, really. Just because that's where my heart is and that's my blood. So, but yeah, I mean, look, you never know how you're going to react until you get offered something like that. So, I mean, I never thought Johan would take it, to be honest. But so I was shocked when Johan took the job. Just because
you mean all those years ago? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, he was part of the European family, so I was like shocked. I'm thinking. But obviously, when I look back now, I think, well, at the end of the day, it's a good job, it's a good challenge, and he's not playing, is he? So it's a bit different. So I would definitely consider it, but I mean, right now, I would love to be the European captain. Whether that will ever happen, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Jason's a playing captain, but it's no secret that I don't agree with the playing captains. I think the players have got enough on their plate, and they should be focused on playing. And there's guys out there what deserve to be captain. I'm not saying Jason doesn't, because he will be, and he probably is a great captain, but in the future he will be a great captain. There's no doubt about it. But I think there's guys out there what have earned their right to be captain, whether that's myself, Niels, Ralph, you could even say Torsten Oman, Oliver Ortman, all those guys. Obviously Mika, who's passed away, Niels Fyan. I mean, there's many candidates out there. And even on the American team, I still think there's a few candidates out there who could do a pretty good job, ex-players or even like somebody from a different sport, like Mike's mentioned before. But I mean, right now it feels like it's screaming out for Johan to be the captain. I think right now he'd be the right man for the job.
I really think too that if they did that, they would still let Jason be a playing captain for Europe if that's what he wanted to do.
I was going to ask because he did.
I think they would allow that. Yeah, I think they would do that.
Yeah, the only thing I question is that what happens in 4 or 5 years' time? Do you just keep picking Jason as the playing captain, even if he's not playing well, and he's guaranteed his spot in the team? That's where I don't sort of like it. But that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? I mean, my opinion doesn't really matter that much. It comes down to what Matchroom want to do. So but yeah, I mean, I'm just one of those. I just feel like there's people out there what deserve their chance. I think they've earned that right for that opportunity, because at the end of the day, it's a great honor for one, but also I think they've earned their stripes. You know what I mean?
Darren, how tough was it for a captain? I mean, you've been under some great ones over the years, but how tough was it to like manage personalities, especially on the European side of it? I mean, you guys had world champions to your left, to your right, and everywhere in between. But how hard was it to get guys in line from that aspect, given the resume?
I think it depends on your character. Where with Johan, we sort of looked up to him, so we just listened to whatever he said. Really, he's like the headmaster. You know what I mean? He's like when you first go to school, he's like the head teacher, and you're looking up to him. That's the type of character he is. So there's a big presence, a big aura about him. Where some of the other captains I played under, I looked at him more as a friend than a captain, if you know what I mean. Well, like Marcus, for example.
Does that work though, Darren? Does that work?
Yeah. I mean, I think Marcus, the last couple of years, he obviously didn't have good results. But the first 3 years, when I was on the team with him, I feel like I helped him a little bit, but with my experience, and I thought he did a good job. So, and then I played under Alex, but the thing with Alex lately is the first year I played, it was the year where there was Mika Himinen, who was the best player in the world at that time, 2009. We had Ralph Souquet, who was probably like the #1 player in Europe. We had Torsten Oman, who was one of the best players in the world. We had Niels Fein, who was one of the best players in the world at that time. So I was a bit intimidated going into the 2009 Mosconi Cup. I was the rookie. And I think Alex Lely was a bit intimidated by it because we had all these stars in the same team. I think on paper, it's probably our best team we've ever had. But it just didn't work as a team. And I feel like Alex didn't have any confidence to put his own print on the team. There was one or two individuals in the team what were just doing their own thing, a little bit like the Americans are now. And we got caught out and we got beat against the Americans 2009. And when I look back now, that on paper, that's the best team I played in, and I played in some great teams.
Yeah, as far as
but I think Alex Lely learned from that, because obviously he's done the captaincy the last few years, and obviously by all accounts he's done a great job. And I've seen a little bit on the outside, and it looks like he learned his lesson from that, and he become a lot better captain for that. So I think it's all about just making sure you're not intimidated by the guys that you're captain of, and just make sure that you've got the confidence in your own ability, that they're going to believe in you and they're going to listen to you. And I think if you do that, then the guys will respect you for sure. Because I look at it, I think, well, when Marcus come in as captain, I was happy he was captain. You know what I mean? I'm thinking this is Marcus Shamat. To me, he's a legend of the game, and I really like the guy. So you're happy for anybody what comes in, really, long as they've got confidence in themselves and they've got a bit of something about them. Where if you're just going to come in and you're going to shy away in the corner, then cracks start to appear. I think that happened a little bit with Ralph Eckert. I think he was a bit intimidated by it all. And obviously, Jason ended up taking over the team, really. And
Jason's just such an alpha. So when you have like that, Ralph's personality mixed in with Jason's personality, it's hard to look the other way.
I mean, I think Jason's one of few guys what can do both roles. You know what I mean? He just loves it. He's just busy 24/7. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys what could run 600 balls, which he has done, and go and have a conversation in the corner for half an hour. Come back and run another 600 balls. That's just his character. Where there's some guys what they need to be zoned in all the time, and they need to focus on one thing. Where Jason that's why they call him the Eagle Eye. I mean, he's wherever you go, Jason's there, right? It doesn't matter where you are. in the room, he just appears from nowhere. You show up at the airport. It does though, doesn't it? You like show up at the airport and you like bump into Jason Shaw.
Yeah.
Or you're outside shopping with your mate, whatever, and you'll bump into Jason Shaw. He's just one of those guys. He just shows up everywhere. So he's just a busy person. He just loves life. He's a larger than life character. Very misunderstood, really, as well. Because like once you get to know him, he's a lot of fun to be around. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's got the right character to do both jobs.
Yeah, I agree. But I think like there's never going to be some perfect recipe to say this is what's going to turn the Americans around. But I think from given the attendance, given the attitudes of fans online, and even just in general in sports, it's like you just want to have something to look forward to. You want to have some optimism, some hope, and that you think they can, so that way you can tune in, or go and buy a ticket and plan your whole year around it and all these things. And it's just like, for doing the same thing just didn't work, and I'm not saying this go around Johan will. Obviously I would have faith in the guy because he's got a proven track record, and he's got results. And so you got to respect that. And I think if the Americans can respect that, and Johan's able to hold them to his standard, then I gotta listen. We said before the start, it's got to be better than last year. Going 11-3 is not that way. So I think that he can go and turn them as far as getting a better score line out of the guys, getting them more prepared for the moment. But at the end of the day, like a lot of comments saying here in the chat, players still got to go out there and make some balls, but Johan won't have that bias. I don't feel like, in terms of who he chooses to pick. And I think that he also doesn't want to go and get embarrassed. He wants to be competitive, or at the very least get the very best effort out of the guys.
That's what it's about. Get 100% out of them. That's all you can do.
I just wonder if, when Johan actually gets into a conversation with Emily, how much control he's going to want over that process of who's on the team. That I could see being a possible stumbling block. I mean, before he picked the team. Matchroom now has it where they're going to insist on some players being points. The good thing with Johan, if his job is the guys he'd want on the team are already going to be the top 3-point guys anyways. And so he'd still basically essentially be able to pick the whole team. That would be to his.
Do you think the Europeans were just that above and beyond the Americans at this one, or you think the Americans? I mean, obviously, they left a lot of 9 balls on the table, but do you think they let them off the hook a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think. I mean, like before the cup started, I thought America had a chance. It wasn't like I'm thinking Europe's guaranteed to win here, but I expected a closer match. I predicted 11-7. I mean, competitive to me is like, you know what I mean. There was competitive, really. I mean, they lost it the first day, didn't they? Let's be honest. I mean, 4-0 after the first day, but it was what, 5-1, 5-2, 5-1, 5-3, 5-2. I mean, but they played terrible, didn't they? There was absolutely shocking the first day. So there's no excuse, really. You can't give a team like Europe a 4-0 start. It's just impossible. I mean, they missed a couple of 9 balls here and there. They might have made it closer, but they was never going to win the competition after the first day. They could have made it look respectable. It could have been 11-7 or something, but they lost it on the first day. You've got to come out strong. You've got to come out firing. And, it was just, they looked so disconnected the first day. It was unbelievable. And that's where you win and lose these matches. You know what I mean? Getting off to a good start is huge. And there's just the very first team match. I mean, it was just terrible, wasn't it? And that just set this, but also it knocks your confidence, don't it? I mean, your confidence is low. I mean, there's people in the chat saying you can't win with Tyler in the team, but Johan has won the cup before with Tyler in the team, and he's played good in the Mosconi Cup. So you can't judge him because he's missed a few 9 balls. I mean, the match he lost against when he missed the 9 ball. Who did lose to? Moritz. I mean, that was the match of the tournament.
Yeah,
that was
awesome.
A
great match.
It was a great match. He played unbelievable. He just missed the 9 ball, which we all can miss that 9 ball. There's no doubt about it. maybe not Joshua Filler, but he's a different breed. But
Yeah.
the rest of us normal people, including myself, even when I was at my best, you can miss that 9-ball because it's a bit of a blind pocket. It's a tight pocket. You're a bit edgy. You're thinking he shouldn't have been there. That's the problem. Where if his opponent missed, if his opponent missed and left him that 9-ball, he'd probably make it 10 times out of 10. But when you put yourself in that position, he knows he should have had a 9-ball. What was unmissable, and then it's a different mindset. So I wouldn't sleep on Tyler. I think he's a really good player, very solid player. He just needs to get off to a good start. If he would have got off to a good start, it would have been a different Mosconi Cup for him.
The one thing I really appreciate about that in particular is just his attitude about it when they interviewed him after. You know, he seemed to just roll with it. He embraced the loudness, and that was something that I had an opinion about. You know, on Windows Open was just that because that crowd I thought was was brutal while he was down that 9-ball, and I was surprised because usually they'll at least give the players the courtesy and the respect to while they're down on the 9-ball or down on the ball. You know what I mean? Or the referees will go and calm down a little bit. Tyler, to his credit, he handled it with class, showing that he's a professional. The problem was, though, with him is that it was just too many mistakes on top of each other, and those were just magnified.
Just snowballed.
And it wasn't just like it was, at 1-1 or, 2-2 in the match. Like, he missed match-winning balls. That's a 4-point swing with those 2 9-balls that he missed. And I think that's the part where it was it got a little heartbreaking at the end. It got to a point where you were like, come on, man, you got this.
But you know what it is as well, though, Mike, is that he's very, very technical player.
Sure.
He really works on his drills. He works on the aiming systems and all that stuff. And that's why I'm not a fan of these big aiming systems, whether it's sight right or whatever. I just think like these training balls is that once you're a little bit off, it starts playing on your head and it starts messing your brain up. I saw an interview yesterday with Ronnie O'Sullivan, and he said the worst thing he ever did was start messing around with sight right and stuff like that because you're thinking about it constantly. You have to reset before every single shot. Imagine Joshua Filler doing that. I mean, Joshua Filler come to me about 2 months ago. He says, can you help me with your game? I says, what do you want me to do with your game? I mean, you're the most natural player I've ever seen in my life. So I gave him a couple of pointers, and all he was doing is that he wasn't timing the ball great. I says, don't mess around with your cue action. I mean, you've got the greatest stroke in pool. I said, it's just a timing thing. And that's what happened with Tyler. Because he was a little bit off, he was coming across the cue ball slightly. It was playing on his head because he gets so fixated with his pre-shot routine and his aiming systems. If you're a little bit off, it's going to screw with your head, and then you're thinking about it all the time. And that's what happened with Tyler. It was a snowball, and then it was hard for him to stop thinking about his technical side of the game instead of just playing and just playing free. Where when you watch Shane play, it's all free. When you watch Filler play, it's all freedom. Jason Shaw, it's all freedom. Carlo Biardo, all these great players that just play with a lot of freedom and they're just timing and tempo. And that's what you got to do. I mean, look, I'm not against aiming systems. It works for some people, but I think when you've got that little bit of natural ability, don't overthink it, because that's when you're going to start getting yourself in trouble.
What do you got, Mike?
I'm going to comment on that. I can't make a ball.
No, but I mean, like in terms of the crowd and things like that, and just what you saw from a couple of the players.
I think Tyler was fine when he said, "Listen, I don't want them to stop screaming." And you saw a couple times where he made 9 balls, in the earlier games.
But also
last year, he would get up smiling and laughing because he was really.
Yeah, I like that.
Doing it himself. But last year he was doing it himself.
He was, Darren.
So I went back and watched a bit. I went back and watched a little bit of the Mosconi, because I didn't really watch the Mosconi last year, so I started watching it from last year, and that American crowd was brutal. It was as bad as the crowd in London. So it plays both sides, you know what I mean? So I think that's why I think Tyler remembered that he was one of the guys lifting the crowd up when the Euros were on the shot. So I mean, sometimes it comes back to you as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's going to be even worse next year.
I mean, that's well, no
I mean, I think it's because he was struggling so badly. We all just wanted that little bit of quiet while he was on the 9-ball. where if he was playing well and he was on that 9 ball, nobody would say anything really. But
Right,
because
right, yeah.
even myself, we was all rooting for him to make that 9 ball, even the Euros. You know what I mean? Because obviously you don't want to see someone struggling their bollocks off that much.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where you're thinking like, come on, pal, you're better than that. You know what I mean? But look, he isn't the only player what's really struggled in the Mosconi Cup. There's a few guys in the past what's gone through the same thing. So if I was him, I'd just put it down to experience. He's had good experiences at the Mosconi Cup, so he's got that to take to the next one he goes to, and the next one he might get the MVP. You never know.
Yeah, and I thought he had flashes, not just in this Mosconi Cup, but in others where I felt like he more than held his end of the bargain. You know, we've said before where I feel like he can step up when it comes to big matches. You know, at the end of the day, some players are just going to have bad weeks. You know, and I feel like that was just part of it for him. But I also feel like just given how resilient that I've seen him over the years, you know, I think he can go and fade that and just kind of leave it there for what it is, which you got to go and admire. But you got to go and also shore that up because I mean you don't want to have that reputation either, you know, and so that was the part with this year was just like the consistency of it, because I thought there were times, especially after the first missed 9 ball, where he had a couple of racks where I'm like, all right, there you go. You know, you're getting yourself in rhythm. You're not, I mean, solid outs, you know, picking racks apart and, you know, small windows and things like that. And so you had optimism, but then you were like thinking, okay, it's still a little close. You know, this may get a little funny here at the end, you know, as far as the score line. And then it just seems like it's a whole different side. And it's brutal though. I mean, listen, I think that one thing I love about the Mosconi Cup is the atmosphere and the crowd and all these things. But I always at least thought that whenever they were down, especially on the match ball, that they gave them that little bit of respect. You know what I mean? Like, but they were just, it was loud throughout the entire time when you know, and he's looking up at the clock, and I'm just like, oh boy.
If it's the U.S.
Yeah,
Open,
it's different.
You're going to get that. If it's the U.S. Open, you're going to get that. If it's Hanoi, you're going to mostly get. But Mosconi Cup, you know, all bets are up. Listen, it's all about pressure. It's races to 5. Okay, this isn't rocket science. So it's how much of a pressure cooker can we put these guys under, and let's see how they handle it. And so it's just a different animal. You just have to accept it for what it is. I don't mind, you know, if players will start to get used to it. If people are screaming, going, whoa, you know, when I'm down 9 ball, you'll get used to it after a while. You know, guys shooting free throws with people, you know, swinging pictures of naked girls in front of them, they still make the shot, right? You know, it takes. I like that. I don't.
Did I miss that? Did I miss that on TV, Mike? I don't know if I saw that one. You know?
It has happened. Before.
Wait till next year Mosconi Cup, and I bring posters for everybody.
There's been a few streakers in the past.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that year at Bally's, man, there was the crowd. Listen, it's one thing to go and heckle, but there was some things that were said, and it was to Tyler, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
there was some really inappropriate shit being said to him. You know,
I don't like inappropriate stuff. I'll take loud, but just not inappropriate.
Sure.
I don't know if you were there, Mike, in 2012 when Johnny Archer's ex-wife Melanie, she was getting
she got
abused, unbelievable.
Yeah,
that was at your call where everybody could hear it. You know what I mean? And Johnny should, well, if you're on the losing team, you don't get the MVP, do you? But Johnny won 6 out of 6 that year. Yeah. He played unbelievable.
He carried them. He carried them.
Unbelievable.
He carried them to 9-9. It ended up 9-9, right? And then
but this was going on while Johnny was playing. Yeah. Like she was getting abused. Like the stuff people were coming out with was sick. You know what I mean? And Johnny just that guy was a machine. You know what I mean? But I mean, what I'm saying is that when there's a lot of noise, you get used to it, right? And when you're down on the shot, you don't really notice it, and you sort of embrace it because you're expecting it. But you only really notice it when you're really struggling. You know what I mean? Then you think, oh shit. Why is he saying that about me? Why is he shouting that out? But when you're at a tournament where there's no noise and then someone's like speaking and you can hear them in your ear, then it really gets to you very quickly. So
would you prefer the consistent noise or like the noise and then the shh?
Yeah, it's like being in a pool room, isn't it? If you're in a pool room, it's a constant noise, so you don't really notice it.
Yeah.
But if you're in an arena where it's dead quiet, then that's nice if it's quiet. But when someone starts talking or whispering, then it's easy to pick it up. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not focused. But when you got that constant loud noise and you got gestures coming out everywhere, then you only really hear it when you're struggling. When you're playing well, it's just you just feed off the atmosphere, and you embrace it. It's just amazing. You know what I mean? I loved it. There's some guys what struggle with it, and some guys love it. And yeah, I mean, the Mosconi Cup's the best time for any pool player. If you can't play in front of that lot, then you're. I mean, if you're doing it for a job, you're in the wrong job.
How many of those guys on the European team, Mike, do you think we're going to see back next year in Florida?
Well, there's one guaranteed.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jason's annuity, no one's messing with that. I always said if you wanted to find out, how to fix Team USA, get them more competitive, ask Jason, because he's got the most at stake. So, no, I think that, Jason for sure, Josh for sure. After that, it's kind of up for grabs. I mean, the rookies showed that they may come back. The rookies also showed we could see 2 more rookies next year. I mean, a guy like Jonas, guys who have a big year, and then then it'll always be up to the captain to make that last pick on who fits the spot. If we've got 2 rookies, I got to get a veteran. If we've got all veterans, I can take a rookie, whatever. So I think that, you start with Jason and Filler and the top 2 points guys, and then fill in from there.
Yeah, what amazes me is that we still haven't seen a Polish player in the Mosconi.
Wasn't there one? No, never mind. I'm thinking about a Russian player.
No, never a Polish player. But I think now we've got all these politics sorted out. I think, and we all can play a full tour. Then I'm going to predict that a Polish player is going to finally qualify for the Mosconi Cup, whether that's Victor or Wojciech.
I was going to say double down on it, Darren. Who do you think is going to go and make? Because they got 5-7 guys deep you can choose from.
I mean, you could pick 5 guys to play in the team, really.
Sure.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably say Victor Zielinski or Daniel Mayshul would be my 2. One of those 2. Probably Victor.
So
I feel like Victor's let me down a little bit. I thought like 2 or 3 years ago, I thought he was going to be top. I mean, he is top player, but I'm waiting for him to have that big breakthrough. You know what I mean? I feel like he's just. I don't know whether the politics in Poland has affected him or not, but I'm waiting for him to break through because I see a lot of talent there, and I would actually like to see him in the Mosconi Cup. There's something about him what I like. I feel like there's a monster in there. You know what I mean?
I think look, he's got consistency in terms of like quarterfinals and even semifinals for that matter. But
I think he's better than
it's
that,
winning. I agree with you. And listen, we rooted for Victor for a very long time, and picked him in a lot of really big tournaments and matches. And you can tell he's got just a ton of upside. He just got to exercise those big match demons, and you said it earlier this week or last week, Darren. It's like the Mosconi Cup is 8-8 going to 9, but every single rack, so it's like it's all that high pressure intensity in a vacuum. And for some players, they go and rise to the occasion. Other players, they don't, and so and until you do, you're always going to have a little bit of that stigma associated with you. But I agree with you. Look, I like his game. I think he's got a lot of upside. I think he'd be fun for the entertainment because he can get a little tilted and he's got, a high ceiling as well. So put him on there, I want to see how he does.
But they're going to have to qualify, won't they? They have to qualify, these guys. Like obviously Jason will get a wild card if he needs it. Obviously Filler if he needs it. Albin, it'd be good to see Albin back playing good again. Catchy, see him back playing good. I mean, they've got a good pool of players to pick from. But there'll definitely be 2 or 3 players from this year, and probably a couple of new players. So, I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Really? I mean, you got Mario He, Max Lechner, all these guys. They're all class players. So, I mean, and then you got the German guys.
You still have players like who haven't been on the last year or 2 who could certainly make it back easily. Alex Kazakis. Kachi, those guys. They could definitely, they could definitely find themselves in the mix next year. So,
Well, it'd be
so you
interesting to see
could have
what Catch is going to do. I think Catch
yeah,
is the big
both
question mark,
catches,
really. I think. Yeah, but I mean,
both
especially the
catches.
senior one.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah.
mean, Cledio, did he finish fifth? He
He
finished
was
fifth in the
close. He was
rankings.
close to getting on
Yeah,
it this year. Yeah,
he took a pass on I think
Hanoi.
Hanoi and Philippines
Yeah, he
Open.
missed. Yeah.
He could have, you know, he was in a really good position.
Yeah, I know he missed the Philippine Open, didn't he? I think because he had to. I think didn't he have to get to the final or something?
Yeah, but he didn't even show up
Yeah,
on it.
I was
Yeah.
shocked, really.
I don't think did he show up in Hanoi. Was he in Hanoi?
I don't
I
I
think
think
don't
he
so,
went
remember.
to
Mike.
Hanoi. Yeah, yeah. That they went
Is he?
home after Hanoi. That's why I was really surprised.
You know, it's like there's so many sound, mentally strong European, like young European players. You know, you mentioned little Kachi. Obviously, you think about big Kachi. You know, but for me, you know, like Moritz this year was just unbelievable. You know, that kid, even going back to the Reyes Cup, where I know wasn't the best performances, but it looked like he was going to be ready for the moment. It was pretty great to see him go and parlay that opportunity into the MVP. And by the way, kudos to Matchroom for naming that the Mika Immonen MVP. I think that was just a
Yeah,
class
yeah,
move.
that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Darren,
I was a bit surprised that something didn't happen on day one, though. I'm not going to be honest with you, but
you mean naming
luckily
it?
they. Yeah, I thought it would have all been done on the first day, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, for whatever reason they didn't. And but day three was nice, wasn't it? Was it day three where they did the
Yeah,
proper? They
yeah,
did a really nice clip on it, and then they named the MVP trophy after him, and then that was really nice. Yeah, it was quite emotional actually, especially when his picture come on the screen.
yeah,
I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, you just amazing, isn't it? Really, it's just it's hard to believe it's happened. Really.
yeah, yeah.
What,
Sad.
what do you say, Mike?
A great way to remember him, and you know his name will always be on that trophy, which is a cool thing. I'm sure he'd be really
Yeah.
proud of that.
Yeah, and the players are very proud that they win it in his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, for all that just embodies, you know, like
Mm.
Mika's spirit and fight and heart and balls and you know, you name it. It was like he's great to watch, man. You know,
Yeah, and
the ultimate competitor.
like Mike says last week, Mika was really the anchor man for Europe when they were getting beat badly. You know what I mean? He was the one what was really giving it to the Americans, really. And like the
yeah,
first few years I played, I mean, that guy had such a presence about him. I mean, he was like around 2008 to 2010, he was the man.
Yeah.
yeah.
He
He
was the
was.
man, and he knew he was the man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, didn't lack
He
confidence.
had so much firepower. It was incredible. When I look back now, I think, fucking hell, what a player he was. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. When
Yeah,
his high gear was unbelievable.
his idea was.
It was sick.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
He,
it
he,
was
he
pedal. It was
reminds me
pedal
of
to the metal.
Oliver Hartman when he was at his best.
yeah.
Their high gear was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, they were just so deep full of riches were the Europeans, and it's going to be interesting how next year shapes up. You know, I like that. I'm with you guys in terms of Jason and Josh. They're just complete anchors of the team. I think Jason, again, for another year, just more than showed what his stock is worth as far as to that unit, you know, and I think
He loves
he
it, doesn't
just, yeah, well, and not just individually, but like you mentioned, Darren, I mean, he can play so many roles and it doesn't let him go and affect his game, you know, like
he? Yeah,
his, and he can be so many things to different players. He can be a leader. He can be, you know,
yeah.
a guy who picks up their spirits, whatever he needs him to be. Plus, he goes out there and leads by example as far as his performances. Um, and Josh, I mean, Josh is just a sick guy. I mean, it's just, it's crazy to see
I mean,
how many
unbelievable.
big shots that he came with. Like those were momentum taking shots that he went and delivered to the Americans, where it was just massive, you know. And I know race to five, everything's kind of like that, but you can just feel it when it's in that 2-2 range or you're down 2-1, and you know you know, are you gonna steal that momentum back? Like some guys just go and take it, and he's certainly one of them. But like I said, I was really surprised with Maritz's poise, his performance, his execution. He looked really comfortable out there just throughout the entire event. I think, like for me, and I mean, there's only 5 spots to choose from, but I would kind of like to see, you know, the MVP get like an automatic for the following year,
Mm.
But
I
but then taking away one of the five, I'm
Yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah.
The reason
Yeah,
why, because
I would
it
go
isn't
there.
it isn't picked properly. I mean, no respect to Moritz, he played great for a rookie.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because the points you mean, Darren, right?
But we done on points. It just it doesn't fit. It doesn't sit good with me because I think even Moritz will agree that obviously. I think we all
Josh.
know that Josh Rafitha was the best
Yeah,
player in
he
the
was.
tournament. But Josh was more than happy for Moritz to win it. There's no
Yeah,
doubt about
absolutely.
that. And as a rookie, he probably deserved it. But throughout, who played the best? I mean, let's come on. So that's where I mean it's a nice bonus. The MVP is a nice bonus for that individual, but for the
Do they
team
get
itself,
money on top of that?
no,
Because I
no,
feel like
no,
they
Yeah.
should.
no. It's
No.
just a
No?
bonus, isn't it?
No.
But I don't
You
agree with it, Mike, because not every player can win the MVP because they don't play the same amount of matches.
right.
Sure.
And then
And
obviously
if
I
you
might play against Shane Van Bonen, and then no disrespect, but Moritz could play against the weakest player on the
Really,
American team. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's the luck of the draw as well. You know what I mean? So
Well, but
that's why I've
Carl had
never
mentioned
been a
before,
fan.
Darren,
But
where it was like he wasn't a fan of the current system in place for MVP and thought it
Yeah,
should be up to some kind of voting. Do you
yeah,
think
it
that
should
that
be. Yeah.
system needs some kind of change to it, or should it stay
Oh, we are
the
doubt.
way it is?
I think that, like Carl says, I think it should be a voting system, whether it's between the captains and the media, or just ask the opposing captain. I mean, but if you said to the opposing captain, look, who do you think's the MVP for Europe? But I want you to think about it and not be biased and give us a proper answer. I think most players would be okay with that. Because if I was me, I would definitely, as a team, you know who's been the best player for the opposing team
Yeah,
because you feel it, you're part of it,
you see
and
it.
you
Yeah,
see it, and you're playing
Yeah,
against these guys, so you see
well,
every shot. You know
listen,
what I mean?
there's no money attached to it, which is smart because once you do that, then
Mm.
things get really squirrely with who
sure.
the captain picks to play who, how often you play, all that stuff, or even if it was a voting system, it gets a little bit question. So I think Matrim just thought, listen, there's no money attached to it. It's kind of ceremonial.
Yeah.
Let's just come up with a point, make it nice and clean, and just be done with it.
Yep.
And it's fine as it is. It's not the best system, but I don't think players play Mosconi Cup trying to get the MVP.
No, but
It's a nice pat on the back, but there's really no value to it. And it's not something people talk about for years, anyways.
yeah, but
Let's face it.
but if you're a betting man, there's no point putting a bet on Billy,
Sure.
or like let's say the two weakest players on each team. You're just throwing money away because usually
They won't
don't
get the
play
same. They won't get the same amount of
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah, and
Right.
even if it goes to the last day, they're going to put them on last in the singles, so it's not going to get there 9 times out of 10. So, I mean, now it's not too bad because there's only one extra point. But the last few years, I mean, there was Joshua and Jason were playing 2 or 3 singles to, let's say, Billy's 1 singles. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you're getting 1 point for a singles. I mean, so if you didn't bet on Joshua or Jason to be the MVP. I mean, you're like clueless, really, and it's stealing money. You are stealing money. You've been stealing money for the last 6-7 years with the MVP. If you knew what the system was, where to be honest, the first 2 years I played in the Mosconi Cup, I didn't even know there was a system. I thought someone I thought Matchroom just randomly picked who they thought was the MVP, and that was it. It wasn't until 2000. It was 2011 when I found out there was a point system, right. And then the reason why, because I was in the running, and I had to play Johnny Archer. If I would have beat Johnny Archer, I would have won the MVP. So when I found out, obviously I thought, oh shit, I could win the MVP. This was 2011, so that's the first year I thought that I knew that there was a point system. So
there wasn't a point system until then.
Yeah,
there wasn't a point system at the beginning.
Well,
just
maybe there wasn't then, but 2011 there was. So yeah, I think it'd be better if maybe even ask the commentators or all the commentators, obviously, and ask the captains. I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah, I think there's
that's
enough of
fine.
a mutual level of respect just as far as being like from one pool player to another, as far like to be able to say truthfully and honestly, this guy's just playing better,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
no matter him being on the other side, you gotta at least, or I mean, you
yeah.
will
Whether
respect
you
how
like
great that
or
guy's.
don't like that guy, you've got to be
Sure.
impartial.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like from an opportunity standpoint, given the way that it's also like just set up, it's just got holes in that aspect. And I really liked Carl's response to that whenever he was asked. I don't remember if it was during Reyes or during the Mosconi. I want to say it was during Reyes, but I think it needs some tweaking. But it was still cool for Moritz. I mean, listen, he was
Yeah,
a
he played
rookie on
great.
that team. It's rare you get to see a rookie go and step up like that and handle big spots. And it was just his overall
The other
demeanor that
guy
I
played
really
good.
respected.
P just played really good also.
I think
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
think
think
he got away with more mistakes than some of
yeah,
the other
Maurice
guys.
made a few
I think,
mistakes, though.
yeah, he
I
did.
think
He
P,
and
I mean,
Davis
Pius.
look at the
made more
9 ball.
mistakes.
Look at the 9 ball. What Tyler missed. If Tyler doesn't miss that 9 ball, he doesn't win the MVP.
Sure, that's a good point. Yeah, I think for me, like Pius he hit the gas a little too hard in a couple of spots where I thought he could have just laid up and played decent saves. But I mean, listen, given the score line, I'm not gonna hate on him for wanting to go and try to close. It just ended up backfiring, and that's the Mosconi Cup. Whenever you're racing to 5, it's like every little decision is gonna go and get analyzed one way or the other. And so. But let's jump into the Americans, boys, for a little bit. Obviously, we talked about the captaincy and what needs to change, and bringing in Johan and all these things. How many of these players do you expect to see back next year out of the 5 guys that have been there the last 2 years?
I think probably 4. I think 4 of them will be
Yeah,
back, and then maybe one new guy. Me personally, I was disappointed that Lucas didn't make the team. I felt as if he'd put the work in this year. I really like his fundamentals. I like his attitude. I really like the kid also, so I'm a little bit biased. Yeah, he's one of my favourite Americans. But I've just sort of known him a long time since the Will Pull series. He come and played the Will Pull series, so I spent quite a bit of time with him. Spent a bit of time with him in Vietnam as well. So yeah, I was disappointed that he didn't make the team because even if there was nothing to lose really in hindsight anyway. But it would have been great seasoning for him going into the Mosconi Cup next year because
yeah,
I think he's going to be a real good player. So I think he's going to play many Mosconi Cups as long as he keeps his progression. I think Nathan Childress is a good prospect also. I think he's improving all the time. So yeah, I think there'll be 1 or 2 new guys, but at the moment I can still see 4 of the guys that played this year playing again next year. So obviously the top 3 and Tyler. But yeah, I mean Skylar's definitely just got to play. Skylar as a playing captain doesn't work, and his game's affected big time the last 2 years because of that. And to be honest, I haven't really seen him play good in Mosconi for a few years. So I think
yeah.
he needs to focus on playing. Obviously, Fedor just needs to get to grips with the Mosconi Cup. You would imagine eventually he's going to do that. Obviously, Shane
Wow.
played really good this year. He can hold his head up high. He'll definitely come back for another one to get to 20.
He will.
Yeah, and then obviously Tyler just got to sort a few things out. I think he just needs to get out of the way of himself, really, and just play. Don't overthink things. Don't think about too much rubbish, really. And
Yeah,
then
I
obviously,
would think.
so
Good.
the last spot's wide open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mike, what's your thoughts on Federer and how he played? Because we talked about him needing to go and step up this year and deliver.
First, I'd agree with Darren that probably 4 guys on the team next year, particularly if Johan ends up getting the captaincy, because he'll pick Tyler all day long. If someone else is captain next year, then I don't think Tyler's a guarantee. So I'd say the over/under is probably 3.5 on team guys for next year. As far as Federer, yeah, I mean it's the curse of being the top American. He just looks kind of like he's not confident in himself out there. Some of the shots he missed, some of the shots he played, just and his record reflects it. I mean, he lost 3 out of his 4 matches. The only match he won was a doubles match.
What's his record overall?
I'm sorry.
What's his record overall? He's played what, three Mosconis for America now?
3 Mosconis for him right now. We had no wins last year. So, and he had 1 year,
No wins.
his first year, his first year doubles with Skyler. So he's probably 2-8, 2-9, something like that. Yeah.
So he's like, what, 25%?
Yeah.
So there's a real good website called Mosconi Stats, and you can actually take a look and see what players' wins and loss percentage is. I'm just kind of bringing it up here right now. And for Federer, they actually have them for both of them. So he's
like 2-9, 2-10.
So he's got right now he's won 4 matches, and as an American, he's won 4 matches and lost 14. He's shooting at a 28.
They're including the team matches in that.
I'm assuming. Oh yeah, they're including team matches. Right? Yeah. 2 out of 7. He's 1 in 5. He's 1 in 5 in singles, 3 and 9 in doubles. So 20% on singles, 33% in doubles. So I mean, not what you expect from. It don't matter what Federer you want to go and look at him, whether he's on Mosconi Cup or individually. Like you expect a really high standard out of him.
Is that his overall Mosconi stats? I wonder if because that sounds like a lot of matches. I wonder if that includes the year he played for Europe.
It does not, because in Europe he was 1 for 1 in singles and 1 and 2 in doubles. So a lot, but not a big sample size, but definitely bigger in terms of the percentages that he won for sure. So
without crowd.
Sure, yeah, and I think that's.
Mike was the only person there, right?
Yeah, I was.
Were you at that one, Mike? Really?
No, it was Keith. Keith was there. Keith Paradise was there. Yeah. That's what I said, because all I remember about Keith is that I sent him to hell to interview him underneath the crack in the door because they sent him to his hotel and told him he couldn't go out because he was on a plane where someone had COVID.
Yeah, I think like if you're in that spot, you just got to go. You're just gonna have to figure it out, and whether it's like getting some like a mental coach or something, to help just further sharpen it under that type of environment, but certainly you expect to see a better result from him. But as a whole, I mean, I think I'm with you, 3-4 guys coming back, Shane for sure wants to go and get number 20. I don't think there's any way that he's not out there, especially it being in Florida. And given the way that he played this year, I mean, this was probably the best SVB that we've seen and that I can remember. I mean, it's been some
7 years. 7 years.
At least.
Yeah.
I think in 2018, is that when they won in London?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he should have got the MVP that year.
Yeah. So I mean, something's got to go and shift there. But it's just, in regards to Sky, look, I think he is good when he doesn't have to be in that captain's role, I feel like, and he's got to he just has to focus on just playing his game. And, considering the way that we saw him end the year at the International Open and then going into this one, I had a lot of high hopes for him, as far as his game goes. And so that missed 9 ball was brutal. It seemed like he missed
a lot of balls though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's a little
whenever he had to power the ball, he was missing by a mile.
I agree with you, Darren. Yeah. There was.
So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's not renowned for his practice routine. So maybe having a Johan type guy, or even like there's a Dennis Hatch in the chat who'd like to be up for consideration. So
I've also heard that Scott Froster's trying to push to be captain also.
What is your thoughts on Scott as a potential captain?
Yeah, I think he'd be all right. I don't. I mean, he's definitely vocal, isn't he? That's for sure. He's definitely got the right character. A little bit like Dennis Hatch, really, like larger than life characters. So
sure.
I mean, it could work, but I mean, if Johan wants the job, and I mean, they'd be silly really to not get Johan. But if that doesn't work out, then why not give it to Scott or Dennis Hatch? You know what I mean? Because at least they've got a presence about them, and they're big characters. They'll bring a lot of fun to the cup.
Yeah, I think.
What about Earl Strickland?
No, come on, you can't have that dumpster fire out there.
What about if you bring all 3 of them? Dennis Hatch, Earl Strickland, and Scott Frost?
Then all their heads are going to explode. And imagine those 3 guys going up there and giving advice.
There's a
during the shot.
There's a reality series waiting to happen.
What about bring the Kentucky Colonel back?
There you go.
Long as it brings us chewing gum.
Mike, what do you say?
Mr. Fire and Ice.
What about Mike Siegel?
No, oh gosh.
God.
Well,
Mike and Earl, co-captains.
Yeah,
Mike and Earl.
You won't get bored. That's for sure. You will not get bored if you had Siegel on there, and he would not shy away from a press conference.
Captain Hook and Earl Strickland, that'd be perfect.
I think you just got to have some kind of disciplinarian there with that group of guys, and you got to have someone where the guys are going to go and give them respect. Dennis seems like a no bullshit kind of guy. Scott, I agree with you. He can be, larger than life and doesn't mind sharing his opinion, but like you guys, if it were up to me first, it's Johan's job, and then everybody else would be, second, because and just because of the resume, and you can't, you got to give that respect where it's due as well. And I'm not saying they can't have, co-captains or whatever, but clearly the way that it went now, at least on the American side of it, is, they just can't be in charge of themselves. Someone's got to be out there and set the standard. You can't be afraid to be the bad guy in that position, to set some hard rules for guys to follow, and then see if you can get the best out of them. I think that's number one. I think with a proper year, or at least a proper few months leading into it, and if they know, listen, by this date we're going to have X and Y and Z be part of the team, then he can have things to work with. But also the dates in which they select players has to change as well, because you can't have it be up until the last minute. Guys got to have time to gel. We need as many extra days and weeks and whatever as possible to have any kind of hope as far as giving that European team a run for their money.
And what about Justin Bergman coming back and playing?
It being in the U.S., I think there's a potential there. Justin historically does not like to travel. And so I think that's a big hurdle. He doesn't play WNT events, so that's also a thing that I don't think Emily would go and give a pass on like she did all those years ago. I think if you see him, you got a lot of hope for him. The guy's got a sick cue ball. I think this break really plays into his favor, where before his break was a bit of a liability. It being more of a skill shot now is going to be a +1 for Justin, and I think he can be a lot cold-blooded, but it's a matter of whether or not he wants to go play. I think anybody.
I don't really care. Everybody talking Justin this, Justin that. I want to see him get online and say, I want to play in the Mosconi Cup, and I'll work at it next year for a shot. If he posted that himself, I would be all in.
You're welcome in with open arms.
Well, even if he just played all the tournaments in America, just play the tournaments in America.
Well, yeah, I mean, Florida Open, U.S. Open, whatever. He doesn't even go to those. So, if he's going to take a shot next year and he wants to, he can still play, and he goes to those tournaments, then I would even consider him as a wild card. But until he does that, I guess people would just stop talking about him.
Yeah, no. I mean, this Ultimate Pool USA, no disrespect, but I mean, it's on 10-inch pockets on a bar table playing 8-ball. I mean, you can't go off anything off there, can you? You can't say, oh, this guy's playing good again because he's doing well on the Ultimate Pool USA. I mean, I won one of those events and I can't make a ball no more.
Yeah, so I reached out to Justin about this time for the last 2 years. I think 1 year I had a good chance of getting him on. Last year I didn't get a response back, and then I saw him out in Quincy for the USA Nationals for Hayball, and so I was hoping to talk to him there. He went out a little earlier than what I expected, so I didn't get a chance to speak with him, at least on the record. And so, but listen, even if you just give me a little bit, give me Derby and US Open, Florida Open, okay, maybe, but give me a few regional events, give me a couple of the big ones here in the US. It being in Florida, I think is going to be big for at least allowing that to go and happen. And I think the fans need him. The players need him. The team needs him. His country needs him. I think he'd be a big value add to that event. And again, it just goes back, and win or lose, listen, it just goes back to just, getting fans' hopes back up. You don't want to see this level of hopelessness and despair when you talk about the Mosconi Cup, because even though it's been out of line at times, it just felt like this year was a lot more different than before. It really did. And so something's got to go and shift in that regard. And I fully expect for Jesus Atencio to be on this team next year. So, if you got a couple of anchors like Shane, Federer, and Jesus, maybe even a Sky, then I think that's something that something's got to be different, though, is my point. And Jesus has got a really great game for that matter. What do you got, Mike?
I don't know that he's been green lighted yet for Team USA.
Who?
Natural.
Who? Oh, okay. Well, is he actually living in America now?
Oh yeah, he's been living here for the last 3 years or so in Charlotte area.
Right.
But so he can't travel, Marty, but he can play the Mosconi Cup in Florida. He can play the Florida Open. He can play the U.S. Open. So,
well, look how many fans showed up just to watch him in the Florida Open, Mike. You don't think they're gonna get a big amount of fans that are Latin American go and see that kid perform?
I don't want anybody who lives in the U.S. thing to get off the rails, and you're starting to get there with Jesus. The Federer thing was one thing. You keep creeping over that line more, and then it gets.
Yeah. Well, what about Gomez?
He can travel now.
Yeah, same type. He's not really what I consider a top 9 ball player, but
he'd have a good chance of making that team.
Yeah, he would. I agree with you.
Roberto Gomez.
If he played in all the events, but he doesn't even go play in all those events. So you got to show you want to play.
He can travel now, though, right?
U.S. pick me doesn't cut it with me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it starts getting silly if you bring everybody in. You know what I mean? There'd be no
that's why I'd say
the international team.
But where do you draw the line at, though? Because it's already the fact that you can even have that discussion, they've already set that precedent.
Yeah, I mean, with Federer, it's opened the door, hasn't it?
Sure.
I think Federer was a different situation because he was a player without a country. He was a person without a country. He couldn't even travel. He put his, he showed this is where he wanted to be and this is who he wanted to play with. Jesus, if you thought that Jesus, he says, I've talked to him. He says, I still consider myself, a Venezuelan. When I play, I want to make Venezuela proud. All that kind of stuff. And that's great that he's living here and eventually he will get his green card. Eventually he will become a citizen and that's all fine. But I wouldn't, to me, this is being rushed into place. And it seems a little disingenuous to me.
Well, but at the same time, I agree with you, Mike, but it's also more desperate now than it's ever been before because what happened this past weekend can't go and happen
I'd
again.
I'd rather have the fix be Johan than let's get a bunch of imports.
Yeah, I mean,
let's start with there.
Sure.
Fix with Johan doesn't work, then open the borders, let anybody play who lag in one hand. But let's try to get the real fix first and see if we can get American players playing to a higher standard. That's what I would rather see.
They've lost 33 to.
You need the Americans playing on the tour. You need these Americans traveling and getting the season in because there is good players out there. I mean, I've seen it. So there's good players out there. It's just that it's like people like Nathan Childress and Lucas. They've got to keep traveling.
But do you think they will, Darren? Do you think they will after what the last couple of years has been?
I think so. I think I've seen Lucas and Nathan. Them two. I'm just using those two as an example. They're the guys what I've been seeing traveling and playing all the tournaments. So they just need to keep going. They're young. They're the future. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're the Americans what you all want to see in the team. You know what I mean? Who you can get behind. They're one of your own. You know what I mean? They're good players. I mean, I've coached one of those guys. So they're good players. Seriously, they can make it. They just got to keep working hard.
And Johan loves working with the youth. That's what he prefer to do now more than anything. So him started with those kids, and let's see how they are in a year and a half.
Shane Welford, what happened to him?
Hasn't been traveling as much.
He played pretty good in the Mosconi Cup. He played.
He didn't do bad.
Yeah. I mean, look, over the last 3 years, they've gotten to 12 total. 3, 6, and 3.
They've lost 3 out the last 6 years. They've lost 11-3. I mean, that's got to stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, like I mentioned this many times, but given that player captain's situation, it kind of took the piss out of guys wanting to go and travel because they knew that they were already up against it in terms of being able to get any kind of wild card. So certainly a formal captain will go and change that. I hope they go and travel. And surely I'd like to see just like a full team of like American born guys go out there and compete for Team USA, because that's the spirit of it, in my opinion. But at the same time, like I said, the Federer situation kind of set a different precedent. And right now, either way, it can't be. It's got to be shaken up. That's for sure.
Mike, whatever happened to the kid from Louisville? It's Stan's son.
Landon Shuffett.
Shuffett.
Yeah, what happened to him? What a player he was.
Yeah, he had all the tools early on, but he never really
good.
Never really figured. He was one of the guys who said, I'm just not going to devote my life to this. So,
yeah. Mike, what are your closing thoughts on this year's Mosconi Cup?
I thought for 11-3, it was pretty compelling. There was a lot of drama for an 11-3 tournament, right? But the first day was the first day and the last day were complete drags. They were air sucks and they were whatever. So I thought there was some fight, there was some drama, there was some, the crowds were loud, that type of thing. So, it still has it. It just needs a fix, and they got to figure out what that fix is. I'm super glad to see Matchroom leaning towards a captaincy fix more so than opening the borders fix, at least for now. And let's see where that goes. So I will be keeping a close eye on the Johan Roysink watch and see how that goes. I figure that's probably about a 50-50 shot at this point.
I think that Johan buys you what, 3 years, Mike, for hope.
Right? Well, listen, it would be great, but they got to agree, and that's not going to be the easiest out in the world. So I'll hold my breath until I hear them until I see the photograph of the two of Em and Johan shaking hands, and at a press conference.
You think Em will take a selfie with Johan? You think Emily will take a selfie with Johan?
Yeah, because she knows marketing, right? I mean, you want to build up enthusiasm for next year. Name this guy in January.
Yep,
right?
definitely.
Then you got a 12-month cycle again.
Yeah, it should be announced very quickly.
What you will have is guys playing knowing that they're under the microscope for the full calendar, not being comfortable, which is what you want. You want to see guys who know that they got expectations and there's a certain standard and you got to go and perform. And I don't want guys who can just put it in neutral and just coast it on down the mountain. You have to go and compete, and I think Johan will certainly hold them to that. Darren, what's your closing thoughts on this year's Mosconi Cup?
Yeah, that's another guy there. Sam Henderson is traveling all the time.
He is. He is. Yeah.
So hopefully Sam keeps improving. So yeah, there's definitely talent out there. They just need to keep working hard, put the work in. And that's what I'd look at if I'm looking from the outside. Obviously, the Mosconi Cup obviously was a bit disappointing. Really, it was great to see Filler back. So that's good. Just disappointed with the American side, I guess, and hopefully they get it sorted out for next year, because they can definitely win. But yeah, I mean, the good thing with Johan is that at least it's going to be a real match, win or lose. Is they're going to do the right things, so that's the key. Be in Florida, so it'd be amazing. Might even travel over for that if I'm free. Jim Telfer still owes me dinner, so that's good. So yeah, it was a good cup. It's always a good time, isn't it? It's good. It's always great to catch up with people. I mean, it's still a great production. You know what I mean? Matchroom doing an amazing job with it. So it's still something you look forward to. You get excited about. You've got that hope before it starts. Sometimes we get that false hope, don't we? We think, I
had hope through 3 matches. 3 matches, I had hope, and then it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you do the same thing next year.
Sure, of course, because that's the brutal part of sports and being a sports fan,
Yeah, we actually enjoy the build more than the actual event. It's the same with the Super Bowl, isn't it? And anything else, we actually enjoy the build up.
Sure.
It's like the World Cup next year in America. It's the build up to it all, and then when it starts, it's usually a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I mean,
But
look,
we'll have a good time. That's the main thing, and the show will go on.
look, I hope so, and I'll be looking forward to it when it does. And out being out there in Florida, I think it looks like some changes are going to be made, which is great, and it'll just put some fire back underneath some guys, and get guys traveling again and competing again and fighting for a spot, which I think is going to be massive. Certainly,
it does
something
make you want to play. That's for sure. It does make you. I know.
Yeah.
I've heard Carl say it, but I'm even thinking. Oh, shall I give it one more go? Shall I give it one more go?
Yeah.
Like, because it gets you excited. You know what I mean? There's no other event what does that to you. You know what I mean? When
And
you're
all
there,
the
I'm
bells
thinking,
and whistles, the
oh, shit,
lights,
maybe I could do it one more time.
yeah. Well, listen, the fans would love to see it, Darren. That's for sure. And I mean,
No,
listen,
but then you wake up and then you realize it's gone. You know what I mean?
no, I mean, look, Niels was in
I
number
know, but
5, 6 for like
but
9 months of the
Neil's
year.
practices every day, doesn't he? He's like, he loves it. He practices every day. He's like the ultimate professional. Where with me, I'm coaching too much. I don't know. It's just you've got to have that fire and desire to put the work in.
Yeah.
But it does give me a little bit of well, I want to play anyway. That's good. So you just see what happens, don't you?
Look, there's no other event like it for better or
Yeah.
worse, and that stage and the atmosphere and the excitement, and when fans are yelling and screaming and you're getting down on the ball and the chaos and just all of it, and
No,
so
it's amazing. It's amazing.
yeah, I mean,
And sometimes you don't really get to play, but just to be part of it is just incredible. There's nothing like it. It's the only event where you feel like a superstar.
it gives you like hope for the sport too, because you think like,
Definitely, yeah.
man, imagine if we can get this somewhere else too. Like, what if it starts to grow a little bit like wildfire, and get that kind of excitement from fans everywhere they turn, like those players deserve, fully deserve as well. So, listen,
it's amazing.
I'm hopeful for the best. We'll have more reaction stuff. I'm gonna try to get Ray on a little later on this evening, do a night show as well. Colin said he wanted to come on, so I'm gonna try to get him on as well. So we'll have more reactions coming up, including like going over player by player and just talking over specific matches, all that good stuff. So, boys, I appreciate your time as always. Y'all got anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm traveling to America tomorrow, so I'll see you all over there.
Where are you coming over here for, Darren?
Well, I'm going to California, meet up with Tiger Q's, my sponsor,
Nice.
and then I go to Jacksonville for the Predator Pro Series.
When does that start, by the way? This week?
The men's tournament starts the 16th of December to the 21st.
But the event itself, doesn't it start like later on this week, or is it?
Might be the 14th. I think there's a doubles tournament, mixed doubles.
Yeah.
Mixed doubles. Oh, and you've got the ladies World 9 Ball. So yeah, I think
that's going to be a big event.
Maybe the 13th. So yeah, I get there on the 13th. So yeah, I can watch the ladies for a few days, and then play the men's event.
Maybe I'll see you out there, then. I might go out there.
Yeah,
head to Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new pool room out there, right?
Legends, right, Mike? Isn't that the name of it?
So
Legends is great. Yeah, check it out.
So
it's beautiful.
Anybody in the area wants some coaching, just send me a message.
You heard it here first. Darren will be in the neighborhood. So, all right, boys, I appreciate it. We'll have more reaction coming up soon. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us, and we'll see all y'all a little later on.